Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donohue and Sonia Mansfield, talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donohue, and my cohort and creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friends. In the middle of hot and steamy Brooklyn, New York today, I am talking to you all the way out in not so steamy San Francisco. What's it like out there?
Nope. No, it's like 68 degrees. It's 69, dudes. Like, it's like not, I said 69. It's, it's not hot here. Not hot. But please go on and tell me how climate change isn't real. Like, it's so weird.
Anyway, we are the show that talks about creeps from the past to the present. Our creep today died in 2015, thankfully. So we will get into him in a minute.
Boy, bye.
Boy, bye. Bye. Just to give you a head start, we do use salty language in this program. This guy especially used a lot of salty language in his lifetime, so just to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook. We do have a private Facebook group. You do have to answer a few questions before you can join the group. You could find us on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, we are at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep on Twitter for 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
We're on Instagram at What a Creep Podcast, and we have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. You can send us your suggestions there for creeps and non-creeps, and also requests for stickers. We've got some groovy stickers for y'all. If you would like some, please send us your address, and wherever you are on the planet of Earth, oh my God, it can't possibly be any hotter there than it is here. Maybe on Mars it is. I don't know. I don't know science. But anyway, if you would like some stickers, I'd be happy to drop them in the mail for you.
That's very nice of you.
Do you want to talk about the website? This is also important because we put our links in there.
Yes, you could go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever want to know about our podcast, but we're afraid to ask. There are links to all of our episodes there, including our show notes, because we research every single creep, and we want to give credit where credit is due. So you can go there and see where we got all this information from. We're not just making it up. There is a link to our merch shop, which has tote bags and journals and masks and all kinds of fun stuff. Do it. I will add some new designs. We were getting requests for Ragey Sonia activated, Ragey Marco activated. I will be working on that. And there's a link to our Patreon page as well. Do you want to tell them about that, Margot?
Yes, I do. You go to Patreon. We have a couple of very affordable options. And I want to say thank you to Dave, Amanda, and Mary for joining this week. Our first Our first 5 seasons are up there. We put out 2 bonus episodes a month, and we also put out a newsletter.
A newsletter that's coming this weekend.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. So thank you all so much.
Check your spam folders.
Yes, please check your spam folders. Also, if money is tight, we totally get that. If you could just leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, a good one would be awesome. I'd like to say, especially thank you to Samantha Lay, 81, Steph, Birthday Girl, and Den, MIDT, for the 5-star podcast reviews. We really appreciate that. Also, Good Pods, we've been doing really well there, and we've been like on the top 10 lists there for a bunch of different stuff. So
that's awesome.
We really appreciate that. Or just tell a friend about the show, or seriously, ask for stickers. Put them on your laptop.
Yep.
Or your surfboard. We're going to talk about surfing today.
Your surfboard.
Whatever.
Your trapper keeper. Whatever.
School's coming, y'all.
Yeah, get your stickers. Put them on your peachy folder.
Oh, man. Do you remember those?
Yes. I had a trapper keeper.
I did, and I needed it.
I should get one now.
You should.
I know. Maybe I'll go to the store after this.
All right, Sonia, are you ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock.
We have a rock and roll creep today, and I'm going to bring my screen up. And we were saying before about the sources here. There's a lot going on. Like I said, we have everything in our show notes. Because we use Spreaker, they don't really hyperlink to our sources. So do go to whatacreep.com, podcast.com, or Brooklyn Fitchick, my site. I always put the links there as well if you want to check these out for yourself. Let's get into our creep today. When Kim Fowley died of bladder cancer on January 15th, 2015, hooray.
What a pisser.
What a pissa. Most headlines read that he was an underground rock and roll LA legend who managed the Runaways in the 1970s. He was a tall, peculiar eccentric who never had the fame he craved, but had a cult-like following of slavish fans who will miss him. Some outlets, like NPR, mentioned he was a Svengali type who seemed to prey on young teenage girls. In reality, everything you have heard about him, and will hear today about him, is true. He was a striking, creative, intelligent artist, salesman, and a cruel, ugly, pathetic, sexually abusive creep.
Cool.
Who left several women in his wake. He never paid for his crimes, but he was never a financial success either. He was never as famous as he wanted to be. His body and mind, which he used to dominate others and hurt others, failed him throughout his life. Trigger warnings: sexual assault, verbal assault, drug use. This guy also uses the word dog and cunt quite a bit. I don't like using those words together, but for some reason he thought they went together like PB&J.
That's weird.
Starting off with Kim Fowley, the Wikipedia page, of course. These stories, other stories appeared on Loudwire, EW.com, Huffington Post. When it was Huffington Post, it's HuffPost now. Pitchfork, another story from Pitchfork. Evelyn McDonald's blog post, Populism. Evelyn McDonald's Queens of Noise, the real story of the Runaways, which came out in 2014. An excellent book about the Runaways if you're looking for that. Sherry Curry's Neon Angel, her memoir about being in the Runaways. We'll talk about that. Kim Fowley's first biography. Sonia, he was going for a trilogy before he croaked. His first one was called Lord of Garbage.
Sounds right.
Sounds about right. Also, Vulture, The Guardian, Los Angeles Times. I have Jackie Fox's Facebook post from 2015. Kathy Valentine's from The Go-Go's. She had a post from Facebook on 2015. A story from Boing Boing. I have a clip here from YouTube. It's Edge Play. It's a movie. It's a documentary about the Runaways that used to run on Lifetime. I don't know if you remember that. There was like this documentary. Yeah. All of this is on there, and that's from Victory Tischler Blue, Vicky Blue. She was in the Runaways for a minute there. She was one of their bassists. You know, like Spinal Tap had a bunch of drummers. The Runaways.
Hopefully they didn't end in explosions.
No, they didn't wind up on fire. They just managed to just quit and leave. Okay.
Yeah.
According to Fowley's book, Lord of Garbage, the first of a planned trilogy, as I said, his parents were both actors, but not successful. His father, Douglas Foley, had a part in Singing in the Rain. He played Roscoe Dexter. And his mother, Shelby Payne, had a bit part in The Big Sleep. He was born in 1939, and these are his direct recollections of the first 18 years of his life. They were Dickensian, and his mother was a spoiled bitch from Oregon, the Beaver State. Selfish, vain, bright, but not brilliant, brooding. Because if it's not one thing, it's your mother.
It's your mother.
He claims she had no maternal instincts for him and barely paid attention to him. He often writes about himself in the third person, by the way. This is what he says.
Awesome.
Yes.
My favorite.
Kim Fowley could talk at 10 months. Kim Fowley could read and write at 1.5. It freaked out my mom, and she placed me in a foster home. He claims his first words were, "I have a question. Why are you bigger than me?" He says he said that at 1. Bullshit.
This is a fucking liar.
She supposedly picked him up, took him out of the room, dragged him to the pool house, put on a Carmen Miranda record, and told him, "Okay, little baby, enjoy the music." Right.
None of these things happen.
None of these things fucking happen. He's rather fanciful, is my point. Anyway, soon after this, Pearl Harbor is bombed, and his father joins the Navy. His mother sends Kim to his relatives up in Oregon while she tries her hand at movie acting. He then says his grandmother sends him to a dentist who tells him that his teeth are so bad that he's going to have dental problems for life and that she can't handle it. So she ties him to a chair on a train and sends him back to Los Angeles. The train winds up at Union Station in Los Angeles. His mother has to untie him, and then she puts him in a foster home. I know.
You know what? I realize we're on a podcast, so people can't see this, but as she's telling that stuff, my head is moving back and forth like a confused dog hearing, like, what?
This is the first few pages of his book. This is the first few paragraphs. It makes no fucking sense.
Also, I don't know if, like, because of dental work, he's sent away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure it was the dental work.
So he's sent to a foster home, and he says it's filled with 20 kids. He has to sleep on the floor, and he only has cream of wheat to eat.
I love cream of wheat.
Do you?
Just saying. I do.
I wasn't into that. This is from 1942 to 1946, and his mother's under contract with Warner Brothers. When she would pick up her ration card for hosiery and gasoline, she would take him with her because men would try to show her their dick in order to get her card. So he became her cock blocker, as she called him. So her son would see their penis and he'd say, "Mom, look what they're doing." And then they put the penis away and then she'd say, "Give me my goddamn card."
This is a thing?
This was a
First
thing.
of all, I didn't realize that people got rations for hosiery and gas.
That's what he's saying. And they got it from the movie studios.
Okay. They were like, look, we realize you need some essentials. Here's a card for pantyhose.
And some gasoline.
Well, and some gas. Yeah. All right.
From Mr. Warner.
Okay.
He then writes, "A lot of people accuse me later on of being a womanizer. But I sympathize with women who are pieces of meat for men in the business." Hang on that
Sure
thought.
he does. Yeah, sure he does.
Soon after, according to Kim, he became paralyzed due to polio. His condition was so bad and resources were so scarce that he was moved all over LA until one day his mother tells him, "Listen, I found Mr. Right, husband number 2. I dumped your dad. If he lives through the war, he will pick you up. I've raised you to be tough, and as long as people don't see your teeth, you will be fine. I'm going to marry this guy and be rich. Don't cry. Goodbye."
Okay. I'm sure these are not exact quotes. Is he claiming these are exact quotes? Because I'm pretty sure they're not. Also, how fucked up are these teeth? Damn. Like, they're so bad that even his own mother's like, peace out. Good luck with your teeth, son. Like, she's fucking out of there. It must be really bad. Like, he opens his mouth and they're so hideous and they must smell bad too. That must be it. Like, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
I'm going to this is boggling my mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look up the teeth.
It's like Stephen King's It.
Just like fucking opens his mouth, just like a fucking shark in there, just like
he's carrying a balloon with him everywhere. Like, why doesn't he want to be my friend? I don't get this.
So awful.
Kim Fowley goes to University High School in Southern California with future stars Ryan O'Neal, James Brolin, Sandra Dee, Bruce Johnston of the Beach Boys, and the singing group Jan and Dean. He's obsessed with music and rock and roll, and he can't wait to work in show business. And he's on the road to success, Sonia, when he is once again hospitalized with polio in 1957. He's 18 years old.
And then they kick him out of the hospital because his teeth are so hideous.
No, but here, get a load of this shit.
Yeah. Can't wait.
He claims that while he's rehabbing, he's not exactly... His extremities are damaged to the point that he has nerve damage. And that he doesn't need to be in a wheelchair, but he walks with a limp throughout his life. And he claims that this polio, it doesn't put him in a wheelchair, like I said, but it affects all of his extremities, including his dick. And that he doesn't know how to work it properly.
He doesn't know how to work his dick properly.
Right. So he would grow to be 6'5" and would walk with a limp and had to walk with a cane most of his life. He never really got the hang of driving or dancing or anything that required eye-hand coordination because of his issues.
Yeah.
And while he was in rehab for polio and under psychiatrist care, he became a sexual surrogate for women who he calls cripples and burn victims because that was the only way he could get sex. And that's how he learned to said, that's how I learned to fuck.
That's disturbing.
Right?
That's really disturbing.
And
also, they still want to fuck him even with his bad
they
teeth.
looked beyond the teeth, Sonia.
Wow,
And the
I bet his
non-working dick.
that's so awful.
They just were like, wait, he's tall?
Yeah, that's totally it. They were like, being tall's half the battle. I'll take it.
Bakers can't be choosers.
That's right.
After this, he starts to wear, he gets over this. I mean, he eventually gets out of the hospital and he starts wearing outlandish suits, makeup, and along with his supposed 164 IQ, he starts working in show business at rock stations.
Does he claim that that's his
Yes.
IQ? Okay, just checking.
He's not stupid.
All right.
He's not stupid.
His teeth have an IQ, though, of 175.
But his dick brings him down a little bit. So
Yes.
it's a constant struggle between the two, Sonia.
So sad.
He first works for Alan Freed. Alan Freed was the first person to coin the term rock and roll. And later writes a song called Alley Oop for the group The Argyles. Do you remember this song? You wouldn't remember the song. We weren't born yet. It's called Alley Oop, 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 Doo-doop, Doo-doop, Alley.
Nope.
No?
No.
Oh, wow.
Maybe if I heard, but I don't think so.
Okay, I'm not doing any justice to it. That's what I'm... Okay.
You might be.
It's his one big hit. And
Okay.
from there, he goes to England and he starts working. He witnesses the Beatles and the Stones in the early 60s. He then comes back to the U.S. and he's always at this point, he meets the Bob Dylans, he meets John Lennon, he meets the Motown people, he meets famous people. He's adjacent to famous people. He's in their circles. He's around them, but he never really achieves big fame, big stardom.
Okay.
He has famous friends, but he's abrasive, and people don't always... There's something weird about the guy.
Because his teeth.
Those teeth will really fuck you up. They just scare people. I don't know what it is.
Scared his own mom. I mean, damn.
This is like, look,
I get it.
I'm getting married. Goodbye.
You know, like all these famous people were like, they don't even know his name, right? They're like, the guy with the teeth, right? Yeah.
Tall guy, bad dick, bad teeth.
John Lennon's like, imagine you had that guy's teeth. Damn. That was the original version of that song, actually. But they cut it out.
He comes back to the U.S., and I want to talk about the rock scene in the 60s and early 70s in L.A. After the Beatles left, there was this groupie scene that happened, and kids used to go to the nightclubs, and the drinking age used to be 18. Mm-hmm. So if you looked anything close to that, you could get into a nightclub, and you could drink and dance and hang out and take drugs and do shit like that. And I have older friends that used to do that in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. In the early 70s, and Mackenzie Phillips used to hang out with them. They were called baby groupies. Baby groupies were 12, 13 years old.
Oh, this makes me feel icky.
I know. Warning. This part's really kind of upsetting. Baby groupies. So Lori Maddox is one of them. She was 13 when she had sex with David Bowie. And then later on, she was kidnapped by Jimmy Page's bodyguard and took on the road with Led Zeppelin. By the way, always said she loved it. Never said it was a problem.
Okay.
Elvis Presley started chasing Priscilla when she was 14.
Yes.
We
did a whole episode on him, by the way.
Jerry Lee Lewis. Myra was 13. Me and Myra are getting married.
Getting married.
13. There's a whole, who R. Kelly. There's been a long, long history.
Yeah.
of really gross men in music
Yes.
going after young girls.
Correct.
This is not new. Kim Fowley is a guy that's really into young girls. He's in his 30s now, and he realizes it's improper to be with an underage, to be with a child, to date a child. So
Yes.
I want to read something to you. He put an ad in a magazine. And the magazine's called Backdoor Man. Very, very
Ew.
subtle. And this is his picture. I'm just going to show you. I don't know if you could see.
I can't see it.
No?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Now I see it.
Trying to do a David Bowie thing. He's wearing a
Yeah.
white suit. And he's trying to get a girlfriend. No girlfriends here. Not smiling, so we don't see his teeth. And it just says, he calls himself Lance Romance. And says, win love and permanent security. Win a chance to develop your own identity. Win an all-expense-paid round trip to Hawaii. An open letter to the girl of my dreams. If you are 18 and like it, or if you are under 18 and legally emancipated with paperwork, then you have just stumbled upon the opportunity of a lifetime. I demand a blonde, blue-eyed sex dog. He says dog a lot once again. A modern Bridget Bardot with no sag-out titties or stretch marks. Brown hair with brown eyes. Brown hair with brown eyes tolerated only if it is massively titted with biker mama vibes. I have a chance, Sonia.
What a fucking garbage person.
Surf stink is most appealing. If you enter my world of broken dreams, you receive free rent, clothes, and medical benefits.
But no dental.
I've always liked girls with open minds or brilliant girls with rotten minds. This is not a joke, all in caps. I really would like a girlfriend. Hollywood doesn't have any hot, wild girls that fit this bill. So if you're into industrial rock and scalding wet nights with hard emotion, send your picture and letter of intent to me in the care of Backdoor Man, and you will be rewarded with your own pleasure.
So fucking gross and stupid. I'm gonna fucking swipe left on this one.
Last but not least, you will be provided with a round-trip, all-expense-paid vacation to Hawaii. You also get my love and a chance to develop, with 2 Ps, your own identity. Kim Fowley. Surprisingly, Sonia, not one woman responded to this.
What? That's so hard to believe because women love nicknames like Backdoor Man and
being called dog.
And being called a dog. And yeah, I mean, he seems so nice. He seems super nice, ladies. What's the problem?
So he's friends with a guy named, I don't know if you ever heard of this person, Rodney Bingenheimer. Rodney Bingenheimer was the subject of a documentary called The Mayor of the Sunset Strip. Rodney was a disc jockey in LA for 30 plus years.
Okay.
He had what was called the English Disco on the Sunset Strip from 1972 to 1975. All the rock stars hung out at this place. All the groupies went to this place. People did drugs and had sex at this place. And he became a DJ at K-Rock, and he and they made this pair because Rodney is 5'2", and Kim is 6'5".
Yeah,
and they're both total fucking weirdos. And they're obsessed with music, and they're obsessed with stardom, and art, and all that shit. So they're constantly like being wingmen for one another.
Yeah. So we have Backdoor Man and Backdoor Boy.
Yes.
Basically. Got it. Okay.
So Kim knew that Frank Zappa was trying to get a groupie rock band off the ground called the GTOs, but they were always failing. And he thought he could get this is his brilliant concept that he thinks like makes him a fucking genius. I'm going to get a band together of hot teenage chicks and make them stars. And that's going to make me a superstar.
Yeah, I'm sure no one thought of it before.
No one thought of it before, and also like that's going to be a forever kind of thing, right? Like Okay, like it's menudo. Like you just keep like
Menudo.
whatever.
Yes.
He had some success in the early 70s, by the way. He was on the American Graffiti soundtrack.
Okay.
So one of the bands that's on there that does a 50s thing, like he was their producer. Like he's had successes on things, but it's never just him. He's just, he's a part of it. Now, this part, okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
1975, he becomes friend with a girl who's a real runaway. Her name is Carrie Crome, and she's 14. She grew up in a very violent home, and she's living on the streets, and she's dreaming of being a songwriter, and she carries around a book of lyrics with her. And she goes to the disco, and she's kind of like begging people for change and for a place to crash. Becomes friends with Rodney, says to him, I want to be a songwriter. And he says, oh, you should live with my friend Kim. And she wasn't Kim's type, technically, but he thought she might be good to have around because she'll write songs. And he wanted to put this band together so it seemed it would look more legit if he had a songwriter with him because he couldn't write songs. He was not that great at it. So he takes her in. And then he starts approaching musicians, and we meet. They're all children, Sonia.
Yeah.
So the first one is Sandy West of the band, and they're called the Fabulous Five. Sandy West was 15 years old. She was a drummer, Southern California.
Okay.
Next, we have Joan Jett. She was 15 when she joins. She had only been playing for 2 years, and before that, she wanted to be an actress, and she changed her mind when she saw Liza Minnelli in Cabaret.
Oh.
She dyed her hair black and cut her hair short after that and learned to play guitar. I never knew that about her. And I
didn't either.
I thought I knew everything about Joan Jett. He then found Lita Ford, who is this hot 15-year-old guitarist. Sherry Curry, who had a twin sister. They were both singers and actresses. And then Jackie Fox, who was this 5'9" surfer chick to be their bass player. They were all either 15 or 16 years old. He brings them together and he calls them the Runaways. He somehow convinces, he meets every single one of their parents and says they're going to get royalties, they're going to have tutors, they're going to be well taken care of, they're going to have dental. They're going to have...
Sure they are. They're like, I'm not so sure about
he's
that.
He's holding his hand up his mouth as he's talking.
Right,
like,
right. That must be over the phone.
Right. And he convinces all of the parents to sign over and let him be in charge. He's a salesman.
Yeah.
He rehearses them under cruel conditions. He has his friends come over. He only has male friends, by the way. They throw food at the women while they're trying to perform. He calls them all dogs and says things like, shut up, cunt dogs. Sit down, dogs. Do what I say, dogs. Obey me at all times, dogs.
What the fuck?
And he picks out Sherry and Jackie the most because they seem the most innocent.
Right.
And Sherry seems, particularly because she's the lead singer, like he really pushes her buttons. Like, I should have picked your sister because she's the prettier one because she's a twin, that kind of shit. He controls all aspects of their lives. The money, the food, the gigs, their stage names, where they perform, and when. He gives them drugs and alcohol and makes them sit and listen to him as he insults them regularly.
Fucked up.
Years later, Carrie Crome admitted he had sexually assaulted her on several occasions. She told him she was gay, but he didn't care.
No.
And she had nowhere to live, so that's why she put up with it.
It's so awful.
I know. I'm so fucking mad at this guy.
They must have felt so trapped.
Well, yeah.
She must have. All of them, but...
Right. 1976, the band is signed with Mercury Records, and they tour the nation with bands like Van Halen, Cheap Trick, the Ramones. Their biggest hit on the record is Cherry Bomb, which we all know. The following year, they toured Japan, and Joan Jett describes it as Beatlemania. They were huge in Japan. This is when they start to fray, because all this time, they're never seeing money from Kim Fowley.
Yeah.
And he also is playing mind games with them against each other. And he puts a guy in charge, Scott Anderson, let's just say Scott, in charge. And Scott starts having sex with Sherry. He's twice her age. By the way, like I said, the girls are 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, they're just kids.
Kim is 36 at this point.
Fuck these people.
I want to say Jackie's story really quick. Jackie was on stage one night and she had a really nice bass and it wasn't playing well. And everybody was picking on someone at some time. And at some point, Jackie was, let's be clear, the smartest of all of them. Of all of them, you could tell, like, if show business wasn't going to work out, Jackie was going to be fine.
Got it.
If you know what I mean. Like, she was going to be good. Her bass is broken one night, and I think it was one of the crew that did it. And it was just to, like, break her spirit. So she called her mom, and her mom sent her a ticket and said, get your ass home. This is bullshit. So Vicky Blue took over for her. And then soon after that, Kim Fowley was kicked out of the band. The group does try to stick together for one more album, but then they break up. And each of them took it very hard. And this is the part that I was always kind of shocked by. But like Joan Jett was destroyed when they broke up at first. Because that was her whole identity. She had no idea what she was going to do.
Right.
When the band broke up. They're 16.
They're kids. And, you know, people, it's not easy to break in to this kind of business.
Right.
And, you know, I would assume that when you're in a band that you feel like this is your shot. And when that shit don't work out, you're fucked. You're not going to get another shot. That's what you're going to think. Whether you're 16 or not, I imagine that's what people think.
And that's the truth most of the time. Let's be clear.
Right.
We know a lot of people like are really famous and a couple of years later, nothing. Like very talented people. And so Sandy took it hard. All of them, you know, had a hard time when the band broke up. Kim is whatever. He's always on the periphery of show business. He owns the rights to the name The Runaways. So over the years, he tries to take their name and do something else. And like in the 80s, he tries the new Runaways.
Oh,
Doesn't work.
Okay.
He has the rights to the song Cherry Bomb because he co-wrote it with Joan Jett. So he makes money from that, but they never make a dime. He appears in the 2003 documentary Mayor Sunset Strip. He writes and directs some films. He appears on some soundtracks. He gets a gig on Sirius Radio as a DJ.
Sirius XM
hire anybody.
They hire anybody, and there's some shit where I'm just like, that's problematic. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
In his last years, he's sick with bladder cancer. In 2012, he finishes his first book, Lord of Garbage. In 2014, he makes an appearance on Jake Fogelnest's podcast, The Fogelnest Files. And he's in a hospital bed, and he's defiant and obnoxious and dying, basically. And Jake asks him about the rumors of him having sex with the Runaways. And he says, I never made love to any of those women. And I remember thinking, what? They were kids. Let's not make right. Anyway, he dies July 15th, 2015, at the age of 75. And I'm like,
bye.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
All right. So let's take a break. And we're going to get into what happens next, because now we're going to get into the really creepy shit.
Okay. Listen, I certainly didn't know about his teeth. I'm going to look this shit up right now. Let's look it up. Kim. Here we go.
It could be.
I'll show me your teeth, you freak. Oh, it's so funny. Every picture, his mouth is closed.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Every single one. Oh my God, every single one. I'm going to Google his teeth. Let's see. No, it's like nothing. That's hilarious. They must be really bad. Yeah, they don't show them. That's so funny. They must be so bad. Okay. I couldn't find anything. What a monster.
Okay, we're back. All right, Sonia, we're going to start with Sherry Curry's book, Neon Angel. She originally released in 1989, which is when she was 30 years old. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of her. She's stunning. She's a really beautiful woman. She was in a movie called Foxes. I think it came out like 1980 with our former creep, Scott Baio. She has a lot of his political views, by the way. This is the year before she will marry actor Robert Hayes. They get married in 1990. And
From Airplane?
Yes.
All right.
And they would have one son, Jake Hayes. And they divorced in 97. She is a wood carver. She and my dad would have gotten along. And she's into chainsaws, uses chainsaws for her carving. And she's still into music and acting. And she's also supported Trump in the past. In her book, she talks about her family trouble, drug abuse, sexual assault, abuse in the show business world in general. She describes an event in her book that happened on New Year's Eve in 1975. This is when she's 16, when Kim Fowley is 36. This is before they released their first record. And it's called The Sex Lesson with Kim Fowley. I'm going to be as delicate as possible because it's really fucking gross. But she describes a scene where Kim Fowley, they were all, I don't know what time of day it is, but it's New Year's Eve. And they're all hungry. They all want some food. And Kim Fowley says, "Shut up, dogs. You're coming here. I have a sex lesson for you." And Sherry describes that there's a girl named Marie. And Marie is zoned out on drugs. And Kim Fowley says, "You need to learn how to have sex with people properly. And I'm going to show you on this girl." And proceeds to have sex with the girl in front of these people. And this girl is completely messed up and out of it. And
that's not consent.
That's not consent.
Yes.
He makes, at one point, Sherry tried to leave the room, and a guy who was their tour manager named Scott, I mentioned him before, who would become her boyfriend, makes her stay and watch. This is the guy that also gets Sherry pregnant later and then refuses to pay for the abortion and just leaves her.
Oh, my God.
She has a tough year.
They're just kids.
They're just kids. Everybody has to watch. And there's people coming in and out of the room. And Sherry writes that the girl is like, "Yeah, great." And then passes out. And just is like, uses
He forces them to watch a rape.
Right. So she's saying that she went away from the experience like, "I would never let him touch me. I will never let him treat me that way." That's her takeaway. Later on, after the band fires him, Kim Fowley tells a reporter, "The best thing that could happen to this band would be if Sherry hung herself from a shower rod and out herself in the tradition of Marilyn Monroe and Patty Hearst. I am a con artist who wanted to pull the ultimate scam. They are assholes who didn't understand the hustle."
Oh my God.
He's such an asshole.
Such an asshole.
Right. So then let's fast forward to 2004. And there's this documentary called
Edge Play.
Thank you. So Vicky Blue, the former bassist, in 2004, she releases a documentary, Edge Play, and it's the story of the Runaways. And she gets everybody except Joan Jett to participate. It takes a few years to get together. And it's a big fucking deal because she's got Sandy West. She has everybody talking, and they're really, really talking about what Kim Fowley did to everybody. That includes like the drug use. It includes calling them all dogs. It includes the rape in the room with this girl that Jackie Fox says, "I never knew about what happened in that room. And I think that Sherry might get her facts wrong sometimes, but I wasn't there." Joan Jett says, "I wasn't there." Lita Ford says, "I wasn't there." Sandy's like, "I don't know. I wasn't there." And then Sherry Curry's like, "I was there, but I got myself out of there. He was a pig." Okay. So they're all different people saying that whether or not they saw this thing that happened. Sandy West has had a really hard time. Sandy West has been in and out of jail and in and out of prison for drugs, for robbery. She's had a really fucking hard time.
Yeah.
And she really doesn't understand why she's not in the Runaways anymore. I mean, it's 2004 and she's still like, how come the band isn't together? How come we're not? And it's really sad.
That is sad.
It's sad. Joan Jett, like I said, wouldn't let them use any of the songs. But they have like Susie Quattro there. They have other people talking. In the end, first we have 2006, Sandy West dies of cancer at 46.
That's so young.
Very, Very sad. She had cancer. Fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer.
In 2009, Neon Angel was sold for the music rights to be the Runaways, which is Joan, and turns out the movie is basically Joan and Sherry's story.
Right. That's the one with Kristen Stewart, right?
That's with Kristen Stewart and Coda Fanning.
Yes.
And Michael Shannon is Kim Fowley.
Yes. That's right. Okay.
They do have a drummer and they do have Lita Ford, but they're just side characters. They don't do anything.
Right.
And they combine two characters to make Vicky and Jackie Fox one person named Robin, who doesn't really do anything. So it's just like Sherry and Joan, and that's that. And
right.
It's not a great movie, and it misses a lot of marks, and and they don't even of all the things the movie fails to do, it doesn't give any tribute to Sandy, which it should have done.
And it's such a missed opportunity because Kristen Stewart would be so dope as Joan Jett if like they had like done it proper, and like Dakota Fanning is really great too. Like that's Michael Shannon's great. That's a really good cast.
It's a great cast, but
yeah.
It just was so hard. I mean, like they were offering like for the life rights of like Jackie and Sandy $2,000. And they're like, yeah, that's what they're like. Fuck you.
Seriously, fuck off.
Fuck off. I mean, there's a lot of shit that goes on in these things.
Yeah.
In 2014, the book Queens of Noise comes out with Evelyn McDonnell. Once again, they're going back to this sex lesson, this sex ed class. And Carrie Crome now says that she was there. And there were a lot of people there. And she was one of the ones that witnessed it. And she said it was rape. And that she can't say who the person was. But that afterwards, nobody did anything. I think everyone at first was shocked. And I think some of them just didn't give a shit. A lot of the lax attitudes of the times. Oh, someone's fucked up and passed out. And someone is having sex with an incoherent body. That was socially acceptable at the time. And then she said she talked to the victim about it afterwards, but they didn't want to talk about it. And a wall came down around them. And she felt like... she said that Evelyn, the writer, says that like Kim was a total dick. But she also says things like Kim was really appalling, but that's what made him so appealing. She kind of plays the fence with him.
Yeah.
And this is also what the writer writes about that incident. Even by the standards of the time, the sex ed class crosses boundaries of not just good taste or morality, but of potential psychological damage for vulnerable teenagers. And I'm like, that's a massive understatement.
Yes.
For 2014, for people witnessing a fucking rape of a person that's barely conscious.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seems wrong. I'm
just like, really? Once again, Jackie denies knowing anything. She's just like, I'm not talking about it. I not talk about it. Kim blames it on hysteria and drugs.
Yeah.
So Kim dies in January of 2015. Adios, asshole.
Yeah.
And finally, in July of 2015, an article comes out, what was then known as Huffington Post. Jackie Fox comes forward, and Jason Cherkis is the writer. And she said, not only was that sex ed class real, but she was the victim.
Oh.
And she said that day that he had given her Quaaludes. She'd never done them before. And all of a sudden she started passing out. And she heard Kim say to a roadie, do you want to have sex with her? And she immediately said, I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel my body. I couldn't talk. I couldn't.
Awful.
Before this, Jackie was, nobody has to be special to be a victim. Just to give you, like, Jackie was so smart. She took the SATs her freshman year, and she was in the 98th percentile.
Wow.
She was a surfer, and when she found out that there was a surfing competition in North Carolina, she's in Southern California, and they wouldn't have girls, they wouldn't pay for girls to go. She started this documentary of filmmakers in Southern California, and she she raised up tickets to sell to watch these documentaries to pay for these girls to go to this competition. And
That's
she's like
cool.
14 when she did this.
Yeah, that's
Like,
cool.
She's super smart and super
Yeah.
capable. And she was playing guitar before she played bass. And she did this because she was bored, because high school was boring. Like, she was just
Wow.
a really 5'9", really intelligent. And they all said she had a really smart mouth. And I think he picked her out.
Yeah.
I think he picked her out to show them
to
a
make-
lesson.
Yes, he made an example of her.
I think that's what he did, to scare them. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the tallest
worked.
one, the smartest one.
And it worked.
And it worked. And he raped her in front of everybody. She was not, and the reason she said, for years she denied it, because she said, always in these stories, they're like, the person was a participant. She's like, I was not a participant. I was unconscious. I did not give consent. And she also said that for years she was very angry at the people in the room because nobody did anything.
Yeah.
You know, she
Yeah.
was 16 years old. He's 36.
It's fucked up.
It's
It's
really
so
fucked up.
And there should be, she needed to do whatever she needed to do, deal with that. And if
Yeah.
that meant not talking about it, then you don't talk about it. Like,
Right.
it's fucked up.
I want to share with you the different reactions. So Joan Jett was like, I wasn't there. I never saw anything. And if something had happened to me, I would have thrown him on his ass. Joan Jett is like 5'2", 90 pounds. She's not throwing anybody. And it's
No, also don't victim blame.
Yeah.
Don't say like, well, maybe you should have fought back or you should have fought harder. Or
Right.
that would never happen to me because I'd fight back. Yeah, it's like, come on, Joan.
Yeah.
Come on.
that was her whole thing. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is so Sherry Curry. This is what she writes on her Facebook page. I have been accused of a crime, of looking into the dead yet pleading eyes of a girl unable to move while she was brutally raped and doing nothing. I have never been one to deny my mistakes in life, and I wouldn't start now. If I were guilty, I would admit it. There are so many excuses I could make, being only 1 month into my 16th year at the time, that people would understand. But I am innocent. When I return from Sweden, I will seek a qualified polygraph examiner to put to rest any and all allegations. I will make public the questions and answers as the result of that test. I am a proud person, but for this, I may need to put open a fund me account, since I don't know how much this will cost. I will prove I am telling the truth. I will not allow anyone to throw me under the bus and accuse me of such a foul act. I will fight for myself. It's the only thing I can do, and I'm glad to do it. A lot of eyes there. It's like narcissism 101. Like, no one's...
Yeah.
This is not about you.
No.
It's about someone else. You're not the victim here.
No.
Talk about Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's. When she said, when Kim Fowley died, she said, first she says that Kim Fowley, to me at 18 years old, he seemed like a sleazy Hollywood version of Colonel Parker. Even at 16, when I called Kim from Austin after Jackie quit to inquire about trying out for the Runaways, I thought he sounded like a creep, asking me a lot of sexual questions. I was no innocent at 16, believe me. And then she wrote, I was annoyed at the accolades people heaped on Fowley after he died. I kept saying to men I knew that they may not have such an esteemed opinion of him if they experienced him the way a young woman did. I never heard him refer to any female as anything other than a dog.
Damn.
When the Go-Go's became successful, Kim acted very differently. It was the only then that I saw a less blustery, blowhard version of who he was.
He's fucking trash.
He is fucking trash. And just Jackie was saying, people were trying to discount what she said. And, and this came out right after Rolling Stone magazine had a whole thing. They were talking about a rape that happened at Duke. Wasn't it at Duke University?
Yeah.
It was a campus
Okay.
rape thing. And so that after the rape reporting fiasco, And she says, in well-known past disagreements among the Runaways, they were leaving nothing to chance. They asked for my SAT scores, my school transcripts, contact info for the lawyer I spoke to last year. My family and I opened our files without reservation. And just very much she had just put it all out there in the open and said that she was so surprised by how many people came out in support of her. And that also she just wanted to let people know about the bystander effect. And like, there's always something you can do. Don't put yourself in danger, obviously. Yeah. But, call the police, make noise, do something. She's okay. She's fine. I mean, after she left the band, and she stayed for another couple of years. I mean, but she went to law school. She went to Harvard.
Yeah.
And she became an entertainment lawyer.
Wow.
And she's very successful, owns her own house. She's doing great. I mean, but she had this really traumatic thing happen to her.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah. And she's, when Kim Fowley died, there's a lot of people that, like I said, they're sort of like, oh, he was over the top and blah, blah, blah. But no, he was a pig.
Rapist.
He was a rapist and he was a sexist and he was just a terrible, horrible person. And Jackie deserves better. And Jake Fogelness, who I was talking about before on Twitter, he said he was really sorry he ever had him on his show. And he says, because I'm the kind of person that would support Jackie, not him. That's not the kind of guy I want to be. And he said, I'm really sorry that I ever did that, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. And that's what we ask of people, right? Like, admit you were wrong.
Yeah.
Say you're sorry.
Yeah.
That's some bare minimum shit right there. I wish that, I wish her fellow bandmates could be, I don't know, more there for her, more supportive, back up her story. But, maybe these are the things they have to tell themselves.
Yeah.
Because they were kids at the time.
They have to remember they were kids.
Yeah.
They were all just kids.
The whole thing's so fucked up.
It is so fucked up. And I'm not blaming them. I mean, they were like, he had a lot of power over them. He had the money. He had their career. He was managing everything in their lives. And like you said, it could be gone in a second.
Yeah.
This was their big shot.
And you said he even controlled their food.
Their food.
He controlled everything.
Every aspect of their goddamn lives.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think he picked her for a reason.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I think that's
it's really sad.
But she's doing fine. She's doing great.
Good.
And he's fucking dead.
Yeah. Good riddance.
So that's our creep this week.
Good job, Margot.
Thank you.
He's trash. I'm glad he's gone.
Yep.
Do you want to take a break and then we'll talk about our non-creep?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Good job, Margot.
Thank you.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
You ready?
Whenever you are.
Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about Kesha. Do you know Kesha?
I know of her.
Yes. So Kesha, who I will say, like, with the $ as an S, and her song TikTok, which was, by the way, is super, super catchy. That really screamed one-hit wonder to me, and I think it screamed that to a lot of other people, and I think a lot of people just blew her off as this, like, party pop princess. But years later, I kind of figured out, like, she's a really smart, talented artist who was under the thumb of a manipulative, rapey music producer. Sound familiar to anybody? Kesha Rose Siebert was born in Los Angeles, California in March 1st, 1987. I feel old. Her mother was Patricia Peabay Siebert, and she was a singer-songwriter. She co-wrote the 1978 song "Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You." I don't know if you know it, but it was made popular in country music by Dolly Parton.
Oh.
She was a single mother. She struggled financially a lot, supporting herself and Kesha and her older brother, Legan. and they were on welfare at one point. They were getting food stamps, all this stuff. They moved to Nashville in 91. Kesha went to school. She plays all kinds of instruments. She plays the trumpet, later the saxophone. She was in the marching band. She got a near perfect score on her SATs. Like,
she's brilliant.
She's real smart. She attended Barnard College, but she dropped out after 3 months because she wanted to pursue music. They moved back to Los Angeles, and that's when Kesha was signed by this producer, Dr. Luke, from Kimosabi Records in 2005. And she was all excited, like this is her chance to like get her singing career off the ground. But instead, she found herself just writing songs for other people. So she's writing for like Miley Cyrus and the band The Veronicas. Do you remember them? She did background vocals for Pitbull's Right Round. But she received no credit and no pay. Isn't that bananas? That song was a huge fucking hit.
Holy shit.
It was a huge, yeah. And she said that she didn't even have money to buy groceries, and she could hear her vocals everywhere from that song.
Music business sucks.
Seriously. And she's under contract with this record label and to Dr. Luke. That's what he goes by the way. So in October 2005, Kesha and Dr. Luke went to Nikki Hilton's birthday party at her sister's house at Paris's house in the Hollywood Hills. And according to Kesha, like, he slipped her the date rape drug, and he took her back to his motel room, and he raped her while she was unconscious. She woke up the next morning. She was naked. She didn't remember everything. She said she was sore and sick, and she went to the hospital. She called her mom, like all of this. And she would later say, like, I just wanted to sing. Like, I don't want to be a rape case victim. I just want to get my music out. And she really regrets that, like, she didn't like report it like this, like right away. She continued to be under contract with him. And like after like 5 years being under his thumb, she finally gets to put out like her album, and it's TikTok. And I don't know if anyone knows the song. I think you do. It's fucking huge song. And you know, it's just like, wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Like, it's super like really overproduced and like, but it's really, really fucking catchy. Like, I get it. But she's like, it's not me. This is not what I do. But it's a huge hit. Makes her really very popular. So in 2014, she checks into a Chicago rehab facility for bulimia. Like, she's fucked up. And it doesn't help that Dr. Luke is always telling her she's super fat. She's built like a refrigerator. Nobody wants to work with her because she's overweight. He claims none of these things happen, but she has emails and stuff to back it up because she has receipts. So while she's in rehab, she tells them, like, he raped me. He sexually and physically abused her. And she completes her treatment, and she decides, like, I'm doing what I want from now on. She drops the $ from Kesha. She's going by her name. She's like, I'm not doing this facade anymore. And she wants to live her own life and create her own music. And this starts years of back and forth between her and Luke. Like, we're talking 7 years of lawsuits from like 2014 to 2021, like back and forth. Like, she files a lawsuit claiming sexual assault and battery, saying that like he's emotionally abusive. He does all of these things to her. He claims, like, he files stuff for defamation. It's all this back and forth. She files an emergency injunction to get out of her contract, like all of these things. By the way, nothing worked in her favor here. Like, they claimed there was like a statute of limitations. So like, she couldn't press charges for the rape. She couldn't get out of her contracts, like, and she was stuck. So eventually she just By the way, I should mention this too. A bunch of artists came out in her defense. So like Taylor Swift donated a bunch of money to help pay her legal bills. Jack Antonoff, you know that? He's a music producer. He offers to produce records for her and then leak the album if that would help her. Lena Dunham, who she's problematic, but she writes a letter of support. Adele is speaking out for her. Pink is speaking out for her, and Lady Gaga like personally meets with Kesha and like actually like writes some letters and testifies saying that like Luke also assaulted her. There's rumors that Katy Perry was assaulted by him, but Katy Perry is denying it. Kelly Clarkson comes out and says that she was blackmailed by her record label to keep working with Dr. Luke, who had worked with her on Since You've Been Gone and My Life Would Suck Without You. Those songs are total earworms, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, he fucking sucks. And, like, people know it. So there's so many cases. I'm not even going to go back and forth on this. So eventually, she just wants to fill her obligation. So she just writes a bunch of songs, records them, hands them over just to get out of her contract. And then Sony Music was like, we'll record with you and you could produce it yourself and you don't have to work with him. So that's when she puts out this album called Rainbow. And I love this album. It's so good. And it's got the song Woman on it. And it's like such a fucking jam and it's such an anthem. Like, it's just like, I'm a motherfucking woman. Like, it's the best. And there's a song called Praying. It's really, really good. She had another album that came out called The High Road, and that was in 2020. And she seems to be doing way better now. Like,
Good.
You know, her music is more reflective of who she is. She's a kook. Like, she's a total weirdo, and I mean that in the best way. She's really involved with, like, gay activism. She's really involved in animal rights. She writes songs. She wrote songs for Britney Spears, Ariana Grande, Miley Cyrus, Miranda Cosgrove. She's writing, producing new music, and she also has a podcast called Kesha and the Creepies. Yeah, and her podcast is where they talk about like supernatural stuff, and then she has like different guests on. So she's had like Alice Cooper on and like Ben Folds, and they talk about like supernatural stuff. And then just like this month, a TV show came out on Discovery Plus, and it's called Conjuring Kesha, and it's where her and her like celebrity friends are like exploring paranormal hotspots. And it's gotten like good reviews. Like, people seem to really be enjoying it. And like, she clearly is like having a really good time and she's doing what she wants to do. And she's not answering to this fucking creep anymore, which is great.
Right.
And I think she is a good example of someone like getting out under the thumb of someone who was trying to manipulate her for a really long time. And
yeah, they went back and forth for years. I remember that.
Years. Oh. It is nonstop. Like, she just didn't want to work with that dude anymore. Right. She's like, I don't want to work with him. And he was like, you're defaming me, and like would sue her, then sue her mother, then sue her again. And then they're filing lawsuits against him. It was so much. I was like, we don't even want to go down that road. It was like, it would have been the show would be 3 hours long. But I think she's a really good example of someone who's not a creep. So that's why I picked her. I think she's great.
I think Jackie Fox is a big fan of hers too. I believe I've read about like Jackie Fox mentioning her.
Yeah.
Some of the interviews I've done of her.
Yeah. And
I've read of her, excuse me.
Yeah. And I love that all these women are speaking out for her, like Pink and, you know, Adele and Taylor Swift and stuff like that, to let, you know, and Lady Gaga saying like, don't judge her by those things. Like, this guy's a real fucking creep, and that she's actually this really talented artist. She writes a lot of songs for other people. Her songs that she releases are dope. I love those songs. They're really great. So I really like her. I think she's great.
Oh, that's an awesome non-creep. If you have any suggestions out there for creeps and non-creeps, please send them out to us. And we love it when you use the Annie Potts GIF, We Got One, in social media.
Good one.
That's always a good one. If you like the sound of our voices and God damn it, why wouldn't you? We are a
Right?
goddamn delight.
Yeah. Yeah.
We co-host a podcast called Dorking Out, and this week the gods have smiled on us.
We have these random movies that aren't streaming for the longest time, and we get requests for them all the time, and we're always checking, and this one is finally streaming. So it's happening.
And what's the movie, Sonia?
Better Off Dead. Better Off Dead is finally streaming, y'all. It's happening.
I watched it last night. I'm going to watch it again tonight. I'm going to post things on my TikTok. I'm going to post some videos there.
TikTok, don't stop.
All of the music is there, including everybody's Van Halen.
Everybody wants some.
I want some too. All the music is there. All the jokes are there. You're Better Off Dead with Elizabeth Daily. I mean, everything. It's got Booger from
This is
Revenge of the Nerds.
100% pure snow.
It's so great.
It's going to be fun, y'all. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be great. So that's Dorking Out. That's coming out this weekend.
Yes.
Please follow us on all the places. For creeps and non-creeps, once again, wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a review if you like us. If you don't, just, let us alone. Just do your own thing.
Yeah. just go about your business.
Just go about your business. Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok. Where can people find you, Margot?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Brooklyn Fit Chick. My site is brooklynfitchick.com, and I am on TikTok at Margot Donahue. Once again, everyone, thank you so much. Stay safe. Stay cool. Don't be a creep.
Creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.